Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. Today I'm going to be doing more of like a state of the game kind of discussion video. Now, I don't usually like being involved in this kind of discussion, but I know that a lot of good friends, a lot of other content creators have been feeling the same way I have in terms of kind of like being let down by the features. Now, before I continue further and before you start making assumptions of which direction I'm going to go, I'm going to make it pretty clear that I'm going to stand somewhere in the middle. I'm going to try to be as objective as I can without much emotional involvement. People who know me as JaganX and through YouTube, you guys actually know that I came from another gacha game, which at the end of it, I was so burnt out because I was so frustrated. I don't want that to happen to Epic 7, and I don't think it's really happening at the moment. I'm kind of having like an emotional disconnect, enjoying the game as it is, but I think I understand like the point, that we'll call this the negative points towards like the new big features from the community. We'll call them the negative points. Well, I totally understand that, and I would actually agree with like all of them. I just don't think that I can deliver the same kind of reaction that some of the community has. So in terms of like, if you're watching this video hoping that JaganX is gonna like, be angry at the developers or whatnot, don't expect that reaction from me, but rather try to hear me out in terms of like being objective in like what's happening. So I'm gonna just kind of go through a bit of observations. Of course, I will talk about the actual features that I find have like really big problems. I'm gonna be honest, as honest as possible. One thing to note is that while I was invited to New York, I got to meet some of the biggest like execs in the decision making of Epic 7. Got to hear them, and over time we have seen them fix issues. So for example, like the Moonlight situation where Mystics got pity, Moonlight into Covenant. Now I almost know like every single person, like at least in my own Discord community, like most of them got at least one ML 5-star from the Covenant. So even if they have never gotten one from the Moonlight, like the Galaxy Summons itself, they've gotten one from the Covenant. So because this being a gacha game, there's RNG, there is an expectation that they want people to somehow pay for the game. I just think that what they're doing recently is kind of making it much more difficult for the free to play to stay above water. That's my observation. But could pull back a bit. I can rant on other topics too. But one very important thing to know is that the executives for Epic 7, the developers, all the execs, they love the product. I think you can see they put a lot of love into the product. I'm talking about like the execution of things. May not be like the game design side of things. So for example, like the world boss, the recent equipment conversion, but they love it in terms of like the visuals, like the audio. I still haven't seen a mobile game with like story as well written, funny. It's got drama, it's got like some excitement, character development. You got audio, you got visuals, you got all that stuff. So they really love their product, and it's very clear that in the past they've heard like all the complaints, they've seen the complaints, and they've addressed them. So that is the only reason why I'm not like, immediately like, turning on my flamethrower or whatnot, and start burning houses down, because I don't think that is very constructive. Now, I do understand that the other side is that, if we don't speak out on it, they're not going to change. But trust me, even if I didn't make this video, there's enough people speaking out on it. So I just want to show respect to the developers there. They are working. It's a job. Which one of us, doesn't have a job where you get crapped on all the time? We know that it doesn't feel that good, right? So let's take that step back. But objectively speaking, the recent features itself do have problems. So I'm not denying that. I'm not covering that whatsoever. First things first is, of course, the pets. Now, I think a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, it's really rooted in the amount of resources we get. And I think gold right now is probably the biggest thing, which is quite interesting because generally people farm, let's say, hunts for gold, right? So if you're free to play, managing like a lot of like refreshing hunts means the managing your sky stones, which means that you have to, if you're talking about completely free to play, you're talking about like you have to get good enough in terms of hero, gear, strategy to be able to push arena high enough, because arena at the end of the week is actually one of the biggest skystone incomes. And of course, do your dailies, right? I mean, don't forget to do your dailies. You get like, I think like 30, 45 or something like that skystones. And then all the other events and stuff like that. Obviously, don't miss out on that. But arena is probably the biggest one in terms of like payout if you're free to play. Now, obviously, being the game as it is, high-end arena usually, not all the time. So usually means they're staying up there because they're paid to play. They're refreshing flags or something to stay up. To get the maximum rewards, but they're doing it not because they're earning the skystone. They're doing it for a completely different reason, either for the frames, the glory, etc., etc. Whatever your reason, it might not just be the payout of the skystone. So skystone itself, I don't think that like is too terrible. I think the biggest complaint for free to play end game players, pay to play, it doesn't matter where you are, is gold. Pets obviously became one of the biggest gold sinks in the game. Not only that, you know, just to get enough pets to be able to use as fodder or roll the skill, that's already big enough. And of course, it does cost gold for you to actually enhance them, synthesize them, etc. So it's already a big enough thing. But then the cost of actually getting the pet, if you're completely free to play, I'd highly suggest you don't use a skystone for it. We talked about this before. I mean, that's a lot of gold. Generally, people, like, if you buy like 500,000 worth, the top pet adoption ticket, 5 a week, I mean, generally you're not going to get anything good out of it, so you use them as fodder. Now, if you're bold enough and spend 5 million, you get 50 adoption tickets, and yeah, you get maybe 1 or 2 S level pets, and maybe even I call them moonlight pets. I think they're called special pets or something. Maybe you get those as well. But I mean, that's a lot of gold. And if you do the calculation based on the energy used, whether leaf or skystone refresh, you're never making ends meet. Now, of course, everything has a gold sink. Gear is probably the biggest thing. And I think what Smilegate was trying to do with the gear conversion was try to fix it, but it doesn't. It actually doesn't. So, I mean, if we go into, let me think here. If we go into hunts, for example, I'm just going to use this as like, I like having imagery as the backdrop to explain stuff. If we go into a hunt, for example, and you're doing like, let's say Wyvern 11, you're going to get about like 33,000 gold without the gold buffs. Even less if you're not in a guild, but hopefully you are. And even less if you don't buy the monthly like buff packs, which cost like $5 to $10, depending on where you live in the world. With the GM buffs, you get generally about like 44,000. That's with the gold buffs after one run. Now, doing that, obviously you get crafting material, and it depends on your pet. Maybe you get more crafting material. The problem is that at the end of farming everything, I'll show you. So I have about 3 million gold. That was farming the fire altar. But if I go to the steel workshop, and this is gonna be the case for almost every player that farms a lot, you're gonna get a lot of crafting materials, but you're never gonna get enough gold to craft the crafting materials. So you'll always actually be in ratio, you'll always actually be less crafting materials than gold, realistically, if you're enhancing equipment. Now, I know that some people may not be enhancing equipment, so they're like, no, Jagan, you're completely wrong. I have so much gold and I don't have enough crafting materials. But we all know that crafting gear is one thing. If you get a lucky drop, that's good for you, but enhancing also costs way too much. Now, I know that the pets are supposed to like limit that. It's supposed to drop it down a bit. So for example, 4.8 equipment enhanced experience, and forgive my pets, they're pretty plebby. 8% gold earned from selling equipment. Like, this is all supposed to help, but they're actually not. Actually, if you do the calculation, they're actually not helping you. If you play the game at a healthy level in terms of like you farm, you craft, and then you enhance, you farm, you craft, and you enhance, you'll always be dipping in gold. So I think that's a big problem. Now then, when we saw the roadmap at the beginning of the new year, we saw like the pet system coming in. That was a big one, and we all thought that, oh, pet system, and they talked about, oh, you can auto farm. Now at the time when they released the dev note, kind of give us like a teaser, there was nothing about this homemade snack crap. Nothing about that kind of stuff limiting your auto runs. And to me, that's still like really weird. And a homemade snack, so for now, to me, homemade snack is a very, very really bad currency. If you, of course, you can buy it in the pet shop with friend points. I do suggest you maxing that out if you auto farm legitimately. Hint, hint. I know some people don't, but I won't get into that. That's not the purpose of this video. The homemade snack becomes like sort of important, but sort of not important currency. Sometimes when I want to use it, I'm like, oh crap, I don't have enough. But then sometimes when I get them, I'm like, oh crap, I don't want it. So it's kind of like a really weird resource that I feel like I kind of know the reasons why they created it, but at the same time, I feel like it's kind of unnecessary. I've said that before in other videos, so I'm just reiterating that thought again. Now, the equipment conversion to me is a huge letdown. Again, one of those biggest things that they were trying to talk about in their roadmap is the equipment conversion. Everybody was like thinking, okay, I'm gonna hoard, all of my epics, even if it's salty, I'm gonna hoard it for this. And they imagined, and we set that expectation for ourselves. I mean, get into that, but we set that for ourselves to think that it's gonna work. At least, like, we all kind of guess that they're gonna limit it per month, otherwise it's too OP, right? Like the whales would just get like the best gear, but of course whales, nothing really stops them from getting the best gear anyway. But they're limiting it to like two pieces a month. Okay, that's understandable, but when we actually started experimenting with it after this patch was released, I mean, it's pretty bad. One, you have to get a conversion gem in order to start doing it. And the conversion gem, of course, can be random, it can be selected, but the selected one, you have to get from the world boss rewards. And that's a whole other topic in and of itself, but let me just show. So for people who actually haven't seen this, but of course, there's a lot of videos out there, so you most likely would have seen it. To be able to get an epic back, and I'm not gonna mix sets here on purpose because I'm just trying to show. So I got a couple epics there, and they're all 85, and then I got a couple heroics, right? I even got a +3 there. My quality grade is normal, right? It's pretty ridiculous. I think the only way you can get it at the epic is like 2 plus 15 or something like that. Something really ridiculous. Now, I don't even want to touch this with a 10-foot pole because I just don't think that this system will work in the long run. What I do, and I'm hopefully optimistic for, is that Smilegate will change this, just like they changed the pets, right? The pets were released like week 1. Yes, a lot of whales went synthesizing, and then they went really crazy, and then Smilegate made it easier because you could keep 2 skills when you synthesize to the 2-star, the 2nd generation pet. That was great, right? That alleviated a lot of the RNG and a lot more of that grind. That took away like one whole layer of grind, which is perfect. The pet system though is still not perfect, I have to say that, but it helped. I do suspect that Smilegate will see this because this is really unusable. Now I'm gonna give a shout out to my buddy Warbolt. He made a video on it and it's gotten a lot of views, and I think he deserves it. So if you haven't checked it out, please do, because he actually spent the resources and actually crafted something right in front of your eyes. He got like a speed set. The speed boot, and he only crafted speed set, and it got like really crappy substats. So there's another layer of RNG, and he made a really good point, and I would reiterate this as well, is that why would you first enhance a ring, let's say for example a ring to +15, and you're gonna use it as fodder anyway? Like, the amount of gold it costs is just crazy, and like you see there, it still costs 100,000 gold to craft this, and you're still behind a layer of RNG, 2 layers of RNG. One is the actual, like, the conversion gem itself. So to get the right one, okay, so over time, maybe you're gonna get the right ones. But then, let's say you got like the speed set one, or the speed one for boot, okay? And then you finally, you +15 fodder just to do it, and then you end up getting nothing out of it. You're gonna be really disappointed. This conversion gem is very, It's very rare. Actually, hold on. There's one in the guild shop right now. I'm gonna buy it. And I actually saved it just so we can see. It's a random one. The one in the guild shop, member shop. This is once a week. Takes 150 armbands, so that's already, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's enough if you already maxed your Proof of Valor. But incoming, you know, new season of guild artifacts too, so like maybe you won't end up buying these. World boss, I think, will be the attack. Okay, attack. All right, attack fount though. It's attack percent, so at least that's pretty good. So that was an RNG box, right? That's an RNG box. So if we go to the Alchemist Steeple again, equipment conversion. We can make it like let's say an attacking ring, right? So I can put that there, and then now I can craft an attack percent ring, which realistically this is a decent gem, but still my problem is that I don't have enough fodder to do it, and I'm not going to spend $100,000 to craft something that isn't an epic at this point, and especially if it does take a plus 15 or 2 plus 15s rather. So I'm not gonna actually do it. So again, like I said, check out Warbolt's video if you want to see the saltiness, but I think like there's a ton of posts on Reddit and stuff. So like I said that the world boss, which for us is available tomorrow morning, or in a couple hours actually. The one of the rewards is to get the conversion gems, right? So here we go. I'm gonna show you guys a screenshot here of what it could look like. So this is taken from someone, I think it's from Reddit, but Warbolt is the one that actually showed this to me. But this is what he got, right? This is what he got. So he got SSS rank, and he got 6,000 gold, 6,000 gold, 6,000 gold, 6,000 gold. Homemade snack. Like I said, that is a very bad currency to have. Like you should remove that completely. And then you get the runes. He got the runes. This is triple S, right? In terms of like how difficult it is, like I haven't experienced this myself, so I can't say whether or not, you know, this is worth it. Like if it's like a complete breeze, like you can go in with like, you know, even though you require like 12 of your own heroes and then 4 supporting ones, if you could go in with like 4 heroes that are geared and the rest are like completely naked, like completely ungeared, and you can get triple S, okay, maybe these rewards kind of make sense because all it costs is 20 energy, at least unless that changed, but all it costs is 20 energy. So maybe that's worth it. For 20 energy, okay, sure, I guess I will take that. But if it's any more difficult than that, I don't know whether or not I would be really inspired to do that. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy, but oh wait, Poo Yang says someone on Reddit said he put ungeared heroes in and still got triple S. Okay, well, there you go. So in terms of difficulty for reward, if that is the case, if it is that easy, then the rewards kind of make sense. I think what players were kind of expecting was that, okay, World Boss, it's a guild, it's a sort of like a guild event. Like there should be some difficulty to it, and therefore the rewards should be good. So we don't know what it's gonna be like, but we've already seen like a lot of screenshots of Battlefield. So the world boss, again, it's not open until a couple hours later, 11 hours from now. That's pretty loud. So yeah, so the world boss itself, like I think of course the grand prize there is those like the fire connections and all that stuff for our newest summoning feature. Now the elemental summon feature, I do think this is a good touch. I definitely think this is a good touch. I'm not complaining about this. So, you know, while Smilegate seemingly, like, we can always focus on the negative stuff, but they still bring positives to the game, right? So this is why I can't really be like emotionally involved and be like, okay, I hate this game now. But at the same time, like I said, like all the stuff I just covered that have massive problems really do have logical, like actual logical problems in terms of how the system is going. The Silver Transmit Stone, I mentioned this on one of my Reading Between the Lines news segments. That's going to be a hump for especially newer players and free-to-play players mainly, to be able to sustain that. Although I did make the mention that ego fragments may not be that super important for new players because most likely they're not getting triple less heroes yet. So for sure for them, like getting the Molagora from the transmit shop is the number one priority. That has to be it. For Oh yeah, we can get this one too. It's a selection one. Okay, so maybe I can get this one as well. I'll get it later. But basically, I'm kind of forced to have to get it because it's limited once per week, and these can be useful. I think I'm just gonna wait for Smilegate to actually change up the system to make it a bit more lenient. One of the things that were happening this week, and again, it's just if we're on the topic of decision making, I think one of the things that's happening this week is the GM buffs, right? Okay, no one's complaining about that, but right now it's so-called Black Friday. So yes, you can try to hype this up, try to market this up a bit, get players to play more because maybe they have their day off or whatever. It's Thanksgiving, at least in the States. So here we have an event where there's a GM Blessing of Wealth. Okay, fantastic. 30 battle gold, awesome. Maybe we have been spoiled, but we used to get them at least with hunts as well. So like hunt drops. I know there was a period like really early on when they were trying this system out, like the buffs up. They weren't always together, but like I said, if you are an endgame player, you're basically using all of your Skystone for energy. Energy mainly to farm hunts. Hunts mainly to craft gear or hopefully get lucky gear drops. But let's face it, crafting, technically you're throwing more darts at the wall, so one of them will stick. So hopefully you get better energy or RNG with crafting. But the problem is that the gold buffs are not in sync with the hunt drop one, which could be okay because, like I said at the beginning of the video, the problem with me is getting like one or the other. Like there's players that have one or the other. That's too much, basically. In my case, I get too many hunt materials, but never enough gold because I enhance gear all the time. So yeah, that's a pretty big one there. Pretty big flaw, I think, in the system. And then tomorrow we're gonna get hunt drops, but 30% more experience up. So however that makes sense. I know that people said that okay, yeah, it's gold time, so if you don't need like runes, just go do hunts. I totally get that. Okay, that makes sense. But I guess what I'm trying to say is our expectations will only ever get higher, and it is a dangerous thing. It's a human psychology thing. Once let's put this in an example. You're renting an apartment, and then later on you move into a townhouse, and then later on you move into a single house, right? It's really hard to go back unless there's a strategic reason to. Either you're not financially stable, or you need to downsize or something like that. But generally people go bigger, right? People don't usually go smaller. That's very, very rare. And the thing what I'm seeing in Epic 7 and why I think so many people are so like dissatisfied is because Epic 7 has like gone through ups and downs for sure, but I would say that for the majority, at least of the first year after the global release, it has been going up. In terms of like, I guess in the past couple of months, it's to me going kind of plateauing. It's kind of plateauing a bit. One, we're just getting more reruns of heroes, and I'm okay with that, to be honest. Like,
we have a visitor.
Gonna let the Biblica speak. Like, for example, I don't have Ravi, right? So these banners returning could be good for some players. Like, let's say in the future, of course, Charles is one of the most sought after hero right now. When Charles gets his banner, I'm pretty sure anybody who doesn't have him will pull for him, and I think everybody's gonna recommend pulling for Charles. So I mean, return banners are good, but I think the problem is that they're usually generally giving us like two return heroes and then one new one, 2 to 3 return heroes. I think we had a week where we had a time where there was 3 reruns. I think that was actually right before the Luna return, which is a whole other can of worms in and of itself. But I'm not gonna get into that at all. I won't touch that because it's just too much ranting in that time. Anyways. So I think a lot of more of people who have stuck around with Epic 7 for a long time, they're really dissatisfied with the pacing of it, because when the game was picking up, picking off like the new heroes was like a requirement, right? But now that we have so many heroes that can fulfill so many roles, I think in terms of like the development side, they think that okay, it's actually better to just rerun some old heroes, because you know, as they continue to develop like new features or whatever, they have more time to do that. They don't have to always keep giving us new heroes. So I'm kind of half. Like at the beginning of it, everybody gets like a lot of heroes, and then you start working with what you have. I like that concept too, because I personally like pacing as well. But at the same time, I do understand that other gacha games may have a like more sped up schedule. And so when you're comparing other games to Epic 7, this is what I don't want the players to do. Don't, just because you're not satisfied with Epic 7, don't go to another game and say this game is way more awesome because it's less grindy, or you know, there's a new hero every week or whatever. Don't compare it to other games. What I would do, and why I think a more objective way to look at the disappointment of Epic 7 is more to compare Epic 7 with itself. And my point is that in the past while, I can't even calculate anymore. To me, like I lost track of time when I'm playing Epic 7 now. It's kind of just like I said, it's plateauing. To me, I'm just comparing it to what it used to be. Yes, there's some good stuff. Yes, there's some bad stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, I can point out the problems. I can agree with all the content creators and every single person in the community that has problems with this game. We're not the game designers, and you can post on Reddit, you can post on YouTube comments all you want on solutions of what they should do. But at the end of the day, you know, is it constructive? I think based on just our reactions, if we can kindly tell them in a humble way, hey, like, we love your game, we love your product, we want to see it succeed, and we want to be on the board of the community. We want to be the same community that came into Epic 7 at the beginning in order to enjoy it together to the end. I think that's the ideal. But yeah, I know that a lot of friends and whatnot, and even top players, like, they just end up like quitting the game. I personally, I'm not going to do that yet. I don't think the game is at that point, but it's probably because I'm kind of lowering my expectations. So I think, you know, if anything, if the developers ever watch this video, you know, just saying that yes, there will always be problems, especially when you're dealing with everybody with different personalities, different trains of thought. You're never really going to be satisfying everyone. You're doing stuff well, but definitely, like, there's some huge gaps, and I don't think it's a big ask. And I think gold is a really big one. And then therefore, like, rewards and every single thing trickles down, I think, from there. Content wise, I do agree. I think someone mentioned this before, that Abyss hasn't been touched in like forever. I do agree. Abyss was like probably one of the most successful features, because it wasn't time limited, so it wasn't like Automaton Tower. When they released Automaton Tower, it was like super difficult. Even like the best players, like, not a lot of people were able to beat it with the heroes that they had, unless they wanted to mola and re-equip and like level up heroes. Like, for example, like Lorena was like one of the top DPS without as much RNG for Automaton Tower, the last floor. And then they quickly had to nerf it because Automaton Tower ran on a schedule, right? It ran on a 1-month cycle. So that had to be nerfed right away. Whereas Abyss is a thing that's everlasting. It's forever expandable, as you can see here. I'm like pulling down on the graphic. Forever expandable. This list row can go down to 1,000 floors. But the difficulty can increase as high as they want it to be. And people can't really complain about it, because eventually someone is going to be able to beat it. There's no time limit. So, like, I think if they work on stuff like Abyss, even expanding another 10 floors, I think that will make a lot of players happy. A lot of content creators will be able to create guides. Top players will be able to, you know, get re-energized again, you know, gearing up heroes, think about new strategies, maybe building new heroes that are needed in particular strategies, all that stuff. Like Automaton Tower, right now we do it just for the rewards. And yes, that's great. They increased it. See, Automaton Tower was one of the things, and this is why I believe that the conversion system, the world boss, they can all be improved if we give Smilegate time. So let's take a step back. Let's chill. They'll do it. Automaton Tower is really easy. We joke about it, but no one complains about it anymore. You see? we had the contrast. It was like really difficult. No one really complains about it anymore. Except like maybe they're still like, oh, they want better rewards. But I think Automaton Tower, the season pass concept was pretty cool too. People got really great rewards out of that. They should refresh those like more often. I think it's been like about 2 months since we've seen the last one, Angelica skin. Hall of Trials was a really big letdown too. Their reasoning for getting rid of Hall of Trials instead of the old challenging system, like the challenge system that required energy, was that, oh, people want to use their energy for hunts, so therefore we're going to make a new currency, this one, the Book of Retribution. We're going to make a new currency and then make these difficult trials. And for the majority, at least of the people that I interact with, people actually tell me that they just auto it. They don't even care what they get, because on the full clear at a triple S, I think you get 2 more of the wisdom gaze, these currency. I think you get like 2 more or something like that. And they actually have this in the shop to be able to purchase the Sky Stone. Now at this point, I think people don't have problems, like they don't really run out of this currency. So I think there should be a redesign of this feature too. Either you make it a lot quicker and easier so people can get the rewards, just like Automaton Tower. Make it easy, make it fast, so people don't need to feel like this is a chore. That would be great. Right now, I think in Labyrinth, for example, normal raids are pretty much only, like, people are only doing them at endgame. People are only doing normal raids for the queen, like the queen, and doing the normal raid so that they get the entrance pass for Hell Raid. And then Hell Raid is like what people really focus on, because this is where like all the end game players are gonna get all the like best pieces of gear. They don't actually show the ring here, but the ring should be here, the 88 ring. So the Abyss, the raid, Hell Raid, I think is again, they've already talked about it. So we're gonna get new bosses. There's gonna be new stuff on that. So that's going to be exciting in the sense that hopefully they don't make it's, because it's not a brand new feature. So we kind of know what to expect. It's just gonna be new bosses. We're just gonna think about new strategies, new team comps, and then we'll get into that role again where we're gonna grind that all week, right? Or once a week and stuff. So that's great. That part is okay. I'm okay with that. They promised to expand Nixie's Sanctum as well, because we're only on Zone 3. So promise up to Zone 5. Maybe in the future more Labyrinths. That'd be nice too. But I think Hell Raid, definitely one we want to look into. So yeah, so they have a lot to work with here. I just think that they're kind of dipping their toes into too many pools at the moment, and none of them are really robust in terms of like, I don't think any of them really got much user testing or a lot of even development testing. And from what I've read and what I've heard, because I'm not a Summoner's War player, I never was, is that Epic 7 is like a copy paste of that game. So because I've never played it, I'm just gonna believe it. And I think what Smilegate really needs to do is to focus on what they have. Focus on what made them successful in the first place and expand on that. And then if they have spare resources, then start pushing this other content to us. You see, the roadmap that they set at the beginning of the year really hyped us all up. But the amount of time for us to see it made our excitement go down. And by the time they released the content, the result was way below expectations. Way below expectations. So then all of a sudden you have another gaping hole, right? So anyways, I don't want to talk too much because there's like so much to rant about, but I don't want to make this a ranty video. I want to make this as constructive as possible, but because I have been asked, hey, what do you think about the new patch? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Hopefully this is kind of let my audience at least know where I'm coming from. I think we should be patient. They have, to me, shown enough of a reputation, a good reputation, that they will pull through. So I think that, instead of just throwing a lot of, torches in their way and forcing them to do stuff, I'm pretty sure they're already hearing. So let's give it some time. But I am excited that they will, and I know it, they will change certain things, but yeah, we'll have to see. Anyways, getting tired from this getting tired from talking about this. So I'm gonna end this here. Hopefully that's been helpful. Like I said, check out my buddy Warbolt's video. Although I would say if you are, let's say if you have kids, if you have kids around, like, and yeah, anyways, it's a different mood to the video, so I would turn down the volume just a bit. And but Warbolt's a really great guy, and you can tell that he actually has a lot invested in the game in terms of emotion. I might be to some people, I might not be like emotional enough, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, hopefully that has been insightful for you guys. So I'm gonna end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.